Welcome to Barbell's Business and Booze, where we discuss navigating everyday life as lifters, business owners, and being a woman in a male-dominated industry. I'm Christy Sine,
And I'm Brittany Diamond.
and today we are going to do a fun one because this is our last episode of the season. We made it, but we are actually answering your guys' burning questions you have for us. So we asked the internet, which is always like a little bit of a risk, and we got a lot of good questions, a lot of funny ones, a lot of I guess some inappropriate ones. um, but we're going to get into answering a lot of them, no matter how um, interesting they get. I'm definitely not going to be answering a couple of them, but I think it's going to be a fun episode. So we just wanted to have some fun today and answer your questions and just have a laid back episode.
Yeah, usually Christy and I prepare. We're a really good team. She does some of the editing, I'll do the writing, I'll do the outlines, but today we're just winging it. And I actually really like podcast episodes like this. So I think both men and women will enjoy this. So I want to get right into it. I'm going to start with the non-anonymous ones because the anonymous ones are the ones that, not that any of these are that thought-provoking, but at least the ones where people had an identity, maybe they're a little bit better. All right. So Christy, I feel like this is a dating episode podcast because half of them are about dating. So I want to just open it right up with, what's the biggest challenge between balancing a healthy dating and gym life?
Well, I think that's kind of a hard one. I mean, it's kind of easier when your partner also lives in a similar goals, right? So, but if all you're doing is lifting at the gym and that's like your only quality time, you have to make sure that you go out of your way and do things that don't involve the gym. I know that both of us like to do hiking and stuff with our partners, go get outside, still go out. So finding time, because like lifting takes so much of our time outside of that to, because like when you're 80 and you're not lifting heavy anymore, what are you going to do together? You need to still find like common interests and stuff you can do together.
Yeah. So for me, I've never dated a guy that hasn't lifted, but I will say, if you asked me this question 5 years ago, I'd be like, they have to be obsessed with the gym because I was in my pro strong woman days. That's all I cared about. But now I actually kind of like if it's not their main thing because it's a lot more than in life, especially in the dating world, than lifting. And I don't want a partner that's, my age and all they care about is the gym. Yes, it's important, but you have to do something outside the gym.
And don't you think for like our personalities, it's important because like so much of our brain is the gym. And so it forces us to be like, hey, hold up, this isn't all of life. Like, let me get a different
Exactly.
interest, more hobbies. We have something
Yeah.
more to talk about. Just like, it breaks that kind of pattern of just obsessing over like how much you squat.
Especially because we're coaches, so we're at the gym, we're talking to people about the gym, we're helping people. When we're at the gym, people are asking us advice. So I want to be able to talk with my partner about something other than like, how'd your lift go today? Like, yes, it's important, and I still like to bond over it because it's important to me. But there's definitely a balance there. You have to bring more to the table than just lifting weights.
I 1,000% agree. So I know this wasn't exactly the question, but I got a question too that was like, does your boyfriend or partner have to lift? And I mean, I'm like we're both lucky that we date people who do lift and are a part of that, but also just value, for me, it's important they value physical fitness and health in general, because like even outside of lifting, I like to do things active.
Yeah. That kind of piggybacks with the question, like, I got a lot like, would you date a guy that's not as strong as you or not as big as you? And same thing, like you said, I don't really care about that as long as they're healthy. Like, what's important to me now is that they want to better themselves in some way. So they have to, and that to me includes, a physical component, mental, spiritual, all of that. And the physical component, I don't care if Maybe they love to squat. Maybe they don't. Maybe they like to just do pull ups. Maybe it's CrossFit. I don't care as long as it's something that is going to better them.
Yeah, I 1,000% agree. I think that's like what makes someone attractive too, is like just always trying to improve in some area. So
The other dating question I got that I really liked, that I think we should answer in full, especially because we both used to experience dating struggles like this, but it says, any dating struggles as strong, badass women. I know I'm not alone. And that used to really, if you want to go first, then I can share what used to happen to me.
yeah, I mean, I guess you go first. I haven't had like I don't think I've had too many struggles, but you might jog my
Oh,
memory
yeah,
of
you've
what
been
I've
in a
gone through.
relationship for a while with Gary now. But for me, before, when I was really trying to date a couple years ago, I tried to keep an open mind because I really didn't want to date someone in my sport or powerlifting or bodybuilding because I was so involved in them from, not only my career standpoint, but as an athlete. So I really tried to date someone outside of that. And what would happen would be they were cool about it at first. Like, I said, this is my job, this is what I do. I have to have an online presence showing my lift. And they were, most of the time, they were cool with it at first until they saw what it really entailed. And what that entails is hours every day at the time, when I was competing. And then on the weekends, traveling to different gyms, especially in strongman, because we all know, like, we have to travel. Like, it is part of our life, or you and Gary make equipment sometimes on the weekends. So that's kind of been the struggle. And then on a different side to that, guys, so I dated this one guy once who, he was an athlete, but he wasn't a competitor, not a high level or anything. And I definitely was like, he was taller than me, but I felt like my width, like my back and my arms were bigger than his. And I was at a bar with my good friend Charity, and she was also dating a guy at the time that was smaller than her. And the guys both got really insecure when some drunk people came up to us at the bar and was like, "Yo, what's it like to date girls that have bigger arms than you?" So they got insecure about that. For me, I was just always pretty confident. So I would say that's the main thing. If like a guy is not secure with how he looks in himself, then he'll be cool with it in the beginning, but then once he's in public and he's intimidated, that's it. He's done with it.
Yeah, I think you're right. It all boils down to confidence and just security in yourself. And I have dated someone been insecure before, just in general, like not even about size, and it's like very exhausting.
Yeah,
So
big
the
time.
insecurity in any way. So I do think that it is important, like to find a partner who is like super secure in themselves, because you know, my boyfriend is very, very large, big, masculine, very secure in himself. But I'm sure that a lot of guys would still, even if they're big and masculine, still might just be turned off by a woman who is maybe like, you know, as hard-headed and like go-getter and as driven as I am and like you and me are, right? Just instead of just like maybe fulfilling a different role that we might be expected to take. So I think that kind of, it's not even just about the size of us, it's just the drive that we have. Um, because it's
That's a
kind of
really
similar
good point.
to, what you think about like maybe a male athlete too. It's like, so you need someone who's secure in that and like are, happy to like love you for that too, because, there might be enough of that energy already, but that's why I need someone very secure because it still balances out. We still can have our different roles in the relationship that balance each other out. So it is hard. So I feel like I got really lucky just because, I do see the struggles out there, and I didn't struggle as much because I always dated within the community, which had its own like negatives as well because the community is so incestuous. There's so much cheating, and I feel like this is probably with every community, honestly, but especially with like young, fit, hot. I don't know, not really, because not everyone's like hot, but if we're in a powerlifting scene, it's not like, but like the person with the biggest total is like the hot one. And so mostly that, just the how incestuous the community can be, and there's not much separation just because it is so small. Um, which for some people it's not a big deal. For me, it definitely really bugged me and made a little more drama. Um, so that was definitely a negative as well. But yeah, the male attention I get now, yeah, it's always mostly like fetishized about my muscles and stuff like that. But luckily, I'm not on like Tinder trying to find the one right now. It's like so I don't have to run into that.
No, it's definitely highly sexualized on both sides, which is why you have to be secure. I mean, we're around, beautiful people, like people that are in good shape that take care of their appearances. But I did want, you raised a good point when you were talking about not just our size, but our drive. And I always thought, it took me a long time to realize that men don't always like that. Men like to be providers, they like to take care of a woman. And I can be very dominating in the sense like I want a man to know that I do not need him. I want him.
Hmm.
So I'm very quick to be like, I'll pay for that. I'll do this. And that's caused me some troubles. I finally learned that when I am with the right person, if my energy meshes, like that allows me to be a little bit more feminine. And now I know that that's when someone is safe to me, because if I start to get very dominant, it's like, I don't trust them. And that's also, men like that in the beginning. Men want a woman with drive, but then when they see like you're not going to be able to give them all your attention, there are some days when, I have to film a podcast, have to edit this, have to write an article, have to attend to clients, that they're not my priority. And I think a lot of men or women too still want their partners to be their number one priority. And we don't live in a society
Hmm.
like that anymore. Both partners, I think, are equal and need to bring the same thing to the table
Yeah,
financially,
yeah. And we totally have the same personalities too. And I didn't realize that too. I didn't realize like, oh, like not every man wants this like driven, successful woman. They just care about someone who's loving, caring, they have a good relationship with. And but you know what? That's just who I am. So I just gotta find a partner who likes that and values that. But I totally know what you mean. It's like finally being able to let your guard down and be able to kind of embrace your femininity a little bit more. That's definitely something like new to me that I'm going through. I think that I've dated a couple people for a short time who like I definitely dominated, and I was like, and I hated it. Like now it was like it was like
Can you
stressful.
give me an
So
example?
just how like just me um making more money, trying to pay for everything. Like me being the one with all the stuff going on and them not, and them trying to always be involved with what I was doing, rather than having their own thing. Like, trying to like get into your life, like, I'll be your video person, I'll be this, I'll be that.
Yeah.
And you're like, no,
Yeah.
so yeah, but I kind of I started dating people like that for a little bit just because I was so hurt by a man, and he wasn't even dominant. He was just like lame. But I was hurt by a man, just by being cheated on by like crazy proportions, and I like just hated that. So it felt safer to be the one in, power and control to me. But once you have a good dynamic and
Wait,
balance too.
Christy, can we edit this? Someone
Yeah.
just rang the doorbell.
Oh, that's okay. I'm gonna say 14 minutes, and then so that way when I edit it, it'll
It's
be
gonna be
easy.
bad for like a minute. Can you hear
It's
it?
okay. Yeah, it's fine. I know it's so stressful, but
I don't know who would ring the
all
doorbell
right.
right now. Let me go. I'm gonna put them away. Okay. Again,
Okay, cool.
the pig ears must be done. I'm sorry.
Oh, no biggie. Oh, no biggie.
You were talking about you were hurt and dominating the relationship.
Okay, I was pretty much done with my statement. So yeah, just finding the right person for you, and you kind of for me, it was funny of just like going from being hurt, going to like more like feminine guys to like craziness, and then someone who's like really masculine and like totally not me, like super. I don't know, it just but like the opposite end. But I was like, wow, this guy's like really like trying to take care of me and stuff like that. And then I found like someone normal and amazing. You know, like I'm saying, like no one with all like the crazy like issues and stuff like that. So I'm the one with the issues over here, but it's been working out great. So
Yeah,
um
we both do.
yeah, it's not even just about lifting, it's just like what type of woman you are. Like just for us, it kind of also manifests in the physical. You know, it's just our physical is kind of a reflection of like us a little bit. So
Yeah, I agree with that statement. For me, a red flag I always noticed was like when a guy would compliment me, like, "Oh, you're a bad bitch, you're a boss, like you get shit done." And then they would just let me repeatedly do that. And so for me, this is kind of going off on a little tangent, but for me, there's one thing, like I know I bring a lot to the table. I know I'm a catch, but the one thing that I really, really like is I like to be a passenger princess. So because there was this one guy I was dating, and like we were always driving my car. Like I was always filling the tank. Like I was doing everything. And so I'm like, you know what? You can drive my car because I like my car, but like let me be a passenger princess and be DJ, please.
there we go. I remember I used to be someone like, oh no, like if someone like tried to like put away my weights, I'm like, no, I'll get it. Now I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, put away my weights, please. You know, like please do
Yeah.
that.
I like
Or
it because like
yeah,
a real man should like balance should balance us like we were just saying. Like I want to be courted. I want to be appreciated, and but like I'll do stuff in return. Like it's kind of just like one hand washes the other. I really do think that there's like a balancing act there, and it's hard to find. It's definitely hard to find. I guess like advice I give for that question is I'm not shy at first now. It's like I tell them I know what I want. I literally will ask men, I'm like, what's your attachment style?
well, what's your attachment style?
I'm secure now. I will admit I have been on the anxious side before when I've been cheated, but I did a lot of work to not be that paranoid, anxious girl. But that took work. That took time being single, you
Hmm.
know?
Yeah, I'm closer to secure now, but it's
Yeah.
been, man, it's been a journey of the anxious, because I'll have like the anxious, what is it? Anxious, there's avoidant and then something else.
Avoiding, anxious, secure, and now there's like an anxious ambivalent or something where it's like on the fence.
Hmm.
I
Yeah,
think there's a
so
lot of it. There's
I was all the anxious ones in one, but now I'm like so close to the secure mark, I feel. So, but that is just super interesting. But so it takes time. Be patient with yourself if you've gone through stuff like that. And just, keep learning. No one is perfect.
for sure. So, did you get any more dating questions? Okay.
Um, Not exactly dating ones, but I did get one that said, um, have you changed your mind about OnlyFans since your OnlyFans episode?
Oh, that's a good one. And we talked about that. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, because we just did our OnlyFans episode, so I haven't changed that much. But because I think afterwards I started like researching more into it, I was like, oh, that would be cool. And then I'm also back on the side that no, I don't want an OnlyFans. So nothing's really changed, but there's still always that everlasting pull of like, oh, you could have all this money. Look at what everyone else is doing. But I think I have also realized more that I would be like so paranoid and anxious and just hate responding to random people, and I just don't think it's worth it. But there's still that pull of like, oh, you could have all this money. Oh,
No, there's definitely that pull, especially like people reached out to us after. But I'm still with you. Like I really do. I think about it pretty often. I'm like, oh, I should just do OnlyFans. Like even just recently, I did like a photo shoot, and I'm like, this could be OnlyFans. But then when I really think about it, like you sent me actually a good reel about a girl who did OnlyFans, and that made me think. Because there's always going to be more. Like if OnlyFans, if I could make a good living just posting sexy pictures, hands down, I would, but I'm not going to masturbate. I'm not going to make porn. I'm not going to do that. And I especially don't want to engage with people. So I always say, like, if I was starving and homeless or something, but I know I have the drive that that's never going to happen. So I think I'll just stick to coaching and doing what we do.
Yeah, I think also like we have like put so much, we've like worked for like free for so long for us to get the success we have with coaching and build what we do have that it's like, I don't know, it's just like not worth it to jeopardize that. So, even if I was to make a little bit more than I do now on OnlyFans, I definitely don't think it's worth it just because, the work we put in to like, build what we have now. So it's
Exactly.
always going to be in the back of our minds, I think. But I'm excited for next season when we interview someone who does have a successful OnlyFans, and then I feel like right after the episode we're going to want to do it
I know.
again. So, I mean, yeah, like nothing against it at all.
No,
And
nothing
we have so
against it
many
at
friends
all.
who do
Like,
it as well. But I would love to actually get to know rather than just seeing like, random people talk about online about how much money they make or how great it is. I want to know the goods, the bads, the uglies.
exactly. That kind of piggybacks off another question we both got. It said, if you weren't coaching, what would you be doing as a living?
I would be a zookeeper.
You
I'm just
wouldn't use
kidding.
your
But
art
that's what I
degree?
wanted to do when I was little. Well, okay, I have my art degree in graphic design, and that's what I started in. I left design to become a personal trainer. I do love art. I'd rather if I could just be an artist or something, which I don't really do art anymore, but I would love to get back into it. I would probably do that. But honestly, I grew up watching like Steve Irwin and
Oh, I
stuff,
love Steve
and so I would
Irwin.
love, yeah, so I would love to like go around to different countries and study animals. I really think I should have been like some kind of marine biologist or like go in the rainforest and like study um different creatures and stuff like that. Like I would love to do that. Gary and I always watch like um like not Discovery Channel, but stuff that's like that of like people who like go on boats and go to the jungle and catch stingrays and take their blood to study the species and stuff like that. Like that kind of stuff is so cool. Like I would love to do that. But I have to go back to school
I can
and
see you
all
doing
that
that.
stuff.
Like,
Yeah.
well, you kind of already like sometimes do that just like on your daily walks with all the animals when you guys like find cool animals on your hike.
Oh
And
yeah, we always find snakes. We have a snapping turtle out back. We have like a big like crane, like a bird that's back there. Um, we find like so many things, and I love it because I was always when I was a kid just like going in the woods, the creek, finding frogs and stuff like that. So I've always been an animal lover. So um, yeah, I definitely think I would do that. So I love art. I think I would just like to do that for fun. Graphic design didn't work out because I hate sitting at a desk. So like catch me, you know, being Jane Goodall or something. What about you?
there's a couple things. So if money wasn't an option at all, I would just be a travel writer. So I'd go to all these.
Yes.
I get really. I feel like my inspiration, my creativity really flourishes when I am somewhere beautiful and just alone and kind of more in like a meditative state. I'm really able to pull. I don't know, just like writing just flows. I like to write poetry. So again, not saying I couldn't do that. I can later in life, but right now that's not gonna pay my bills. So I kind of just do it on the side. And if I was not in coaching and I had to make, like, let's say, God forbid, like all my clients quit or something, because I often think about this, I would definitely go back to medical or pharma sales. I really loved it. There were obviously aspects I didn't like. I didn't like being told what to do. I didn't like being on a schedule, but I felt like my brain was always stimulated and I was constantly
Hmm.
learning. But it really helped me with coaching because especially I specialized when I was in pharma in CNS. So I would in my spare time, like driving to accounts or reading case studies, I learned a lot about like how the brain works. And personally, I would have loved to have gone back to school, but like you said, you don't want to go back to school for that long. I'd have to go back for 5 years to get my NP license. But I would love to be able to help integrate the physical with more of like how the brain and neurochemistry works because
Hmm.
I think that oftentimes in the pharma field, drugs are obviously prescribed too much without looking at things like nutrition and mindfulness and exercising first. So I'd love to be able to bring those both together. And I actually kind of already do that. Like I'll just tell my clients like I'm not an NP, but here's one that I refer to. You should talk about this. So I guess I kind of do that. I just don't make the big bucks like they do.
Yeah, no, that's such a great point too, because like also with coaching, there could be an evolution to it. Like we always talk about, like, do we go into life coaching, business coaching from here, coaching coaches, or you can go into, maybe leveling up into your degree and like, um, be able to like prescribe people things and all that fun stuff. Just get more knowledge and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's crazy because we have so many different interests and stuff like that. But yeah,
Personally always coach to some degree though. Like I really do. There's an aspect I love, like the mentorship aspect of it and just being able to see someone better their lives. Like that's the part of coaching. Like, like I said, even if I had unlimited money and could do whatever I wanted, I would still have a few clients for sure.
yeah, it would definitely be weird, even though I say like, oh yeah, like, going out in the forest and studying animals and stuff like that. It'd be weird because yeah, like you said, every day you get to see the impact you have on someone. I'm just very used to that now. It's like that's kind of like what like keeps my fuel, my fire field, which I'm sure I could find something different, but I mean, just something I'm lucky enough to be able to get to do every day. So I would definitely miss it. So yeah, coaching in some aspect, for sure, always.
What other good questions or bad did you get?
So, I got, let's see. Okay, so switching gears a little bit, I guess staying in the fitness industry, um, what do you think needs to be changed to change about the fitness industry?
Good question. I love that. You want me to start?
Yeah, you go for it.
Yeah, we've talked about this before too. So there's a lot, every industry has its flaws. I would say the biggest flaw is over comp coaches, especially with social media, over complicating things for the general population. That's a big problem. People will get in depth on their posts and articles about like the optimal way to train or do this, or, only have, I'm trying to think of a very specific example. I guess a very specific example that I see oftentimes is like only eat carbs around your training. Okay. Yes, that matters for the athlete or the performance person or bodybuilder, of course, but for the average general person, and I do this a lot with my like lifestyle clients, what matters the most at the end of the day is calories in, calories out. So, you know what? If you're someone that has your eggs and toast every morning and maybe you don't work out till the evening, keep doing that. I just hate that people make these myths and it's like this is the only way and they get so passionate about it. It's like they're
Mhm.
like the fitness industry over complicates things because they're trying to reinvent the wheel.
No, I 1,000% agree. And it's not only that, it's just so much information coming at you at once and a lot of clickbait. So someone, let's say on YouTube, I'm scrolling through and it says like, never do this and you hurt your shoulders. And it's like a picture of someone doing an upright row. I'm scrolling through, I'm gonna think, I'm just general. It's like, oh, my coach has me do upright rows. And they said this is the most dangerous exercise in the world. Like, well, I mean, it depends. If upright rows hurt you, yeah, don't do them. Like, but you saw this like crazy cover photo of this guy and like X's, you know, um, over the person doing the upright row, and someone's the like the whoever's page their face being like, oh. like in the corner, like if somebody do upright row or something like that. That's just one example. So in your head, you're like, never eat, never do upright rows or something. Same thing with like carbs. Like carbs are bad. Like someone will say that. And then you'll see something like you should eat carbs, you know, before your training will be another thing. So you're like, are carbs good? Are carbs bad? Or it's like, well, neither of those things. I mean, just it all depends. Nothing's like it's not that black or white. You're going to be okay. Like I think just the way that we're trying to like get people's attention rather than like educating them because the actual truth is like way less sexy, a little bit more boring, and everyone really wants to have like a specific diet, like Atkins, keto, this, intermittent fasting, that, rather than just like generally learning about like a healthy diet. So, like you said, people are getting very specific, and then also, although people are using clickbait, but let's say in their YouTube is about the no upright row thing, they do explain, well, if you do the upright row this way, it's going to be okay. And if it doesn't hurt you when you do it, yeah, then it's totally fine. But you're like, but your cover photo said like this most dangerous exercise ever. Like, you know what I'm saying? It might not be the best example just because upright row, but you know what I'm saying? That's like
Yeah, I do.
never do
So
this exercise,
who,
never eat this, never eat
whoever
this.
asked
And then you have
that,
like guys like V Shred. You guys like V Shred who are like advertising weird It's so weird. It just makes me hate that like that's what the general public is going to believe. It's so annoying.
whoever asked that question, make sure you go back and listen to our busting fitness myths episode. But that was my
Hmm.
first part to the question. The second part, I don't want to go super into it, but I think it's important to know because it really used to bother me. And Christy, we talk about this all the time. We just mentioned it, but it's just the over sexualization of the industry. And it's gotten bad. Like, anyone now open your phone, scroll through Instagram, and you see things that like 5 years ago, to see a girl like squatting in a thong with like water dripping down her or something, like it's so normal. Like we literally see porn on Instagram and it's nothing to us. And I think that 5 years ago, every industry has sexuality in it. It's a fact. Sex sells. That's never going to change. I'm not saying that we need to change that. It's just crazy, like what we've gotten immune to. And even me, like things that I would never do that now I just feel like it's accepted. So it's both empowering, but then also a negative. And I don't really see that changing, especially since OnlyFans is so prevalent, like normal people are doing it. So I guess
Hmm.
that's the only thing is it really makes me personally sad. I fight with this a lot mentally that I can write an article. I wrote an article about it actually about like the fitness industry and things that I don't like. And it won't get it won't get seen as much as like a sexy picture will. So I do both. And I'm not afraid to say that. I definitely do both because I know how to play the game, but I do wish that I would be more respected for my brain and my writing that I work so hard at rather than just what I look like. So that's hard for me.
Yeah, it's interesting how like the scale has been like really tipped. It's not like, okay, like obviously I mean, the fitness industry, a lot of it's about our bodies, what it looks like,
Yeah, it's
to
it's
one
our it's
extent.
our
But
billboard.
like seriously, if you go on my explore page, it is like people literally squatting in thongs, and you're
Yeah.
like, and like you see the camel toe and stuff, and like so, and it's a lot of it. So it's not just a little bit, it's just so much. You can't really choose whether or not you're going to see that. Obviously, you just get off Instagram, or but it's like there's just so much of it. So yeah, I totally get it. There's a lot of the sexualization of it. But yeah, it just seems like because I'm fine with it because for me, I'm just like I really believe that everyone should do whatever they like or wear whatever they want. Like I'm the type of girl who's going to go drive to the gym in a sports bra, walk in a sports bra. Like I hate clothes. But also, I'm also someone who's like, who I don't know, it swung like with Instagram and the algorithm just like kind of like too crazy now. So I just wish we could like tone it back just a little bit, but that's the internet. We'll take things to the extreme, and I think that's fine. It's just like it's harder to choose whether or not you're going to see it on the daily.
Like, all right, let's try to switch it up with a different question on okay, let's I like this one. Address the we would be better at sport if we didn't have lip filler.
Okay. Well, yeah, that was my shorthand for it. But I remember, so you put up a question box. Was it just asking?
Oh, I can
Oh, it was on
ask.
body image. It was on body image, right?
Yes, I'll pull up the exact question because I think it's more
Okay.
powerful when you hear
Yeah, the
how
way they
these.
said it. So Brittany put a question box up, like asking what other people have struggled with body image because we were preparing for our body image, and it was anonymous body image episode. So she also put an anonymous link up because it can be a sensitive topic, and this is one of the quote unquote questions Brittany got.
The fact that both Christy and you are not confident enough in your own skin. If you guys focus as much on training for the sport you compete in rather than boob jobs and fake lips, you'd actually be somewhere in the sport. You guys focus more on how your body looks rather than strength, and it shows.
Well, thank you because that means I'm looking hot.
Yeah,
I'm just
exactly.
kidding.
Um, It's an anonymous question box. It's the internet. Whoever wrote this, I hope you're listening because you're obviously fans of Christy and I. The fact that you took the time to write a negative comment. I'm just going to say we're probably stronger than you. I was 3 times world's strongest woman. I got third place, but that's still a huge accomplishment. I paved the way. I'm the reason that women have pro cards. Okay. I went to NPR and fought for it, trying to get us equal rights. Um, yeah, so that's that.
Yeah, like so with this question, this did like peeve me a little bit. At the time, I like read this right before I trained, and the last few years I've really struggled with my back injury. So I had to switch gears to recovering from that. I like kind of beat myself down. I dedicated my life, to trying to get better. And during the process of trying to recover, and then, obviously, if I'm just beating my head against the wall, I'm going to focus my attention to something else, like trying to improve my physique, or else what am I going to do? Just remain stagnant? So that's kind of what I focused on. Gave me a little opportunity after the Arnold to get a boob job, which is fucking awesome. Go me. And after
Listen
that
to our
boob
boob
job,
episode.
I've hit a ton of overhead PRs. I actually feel like I've never been stronger in some ways right now. So it kind of like struck a chord a little bit in that way. It kind of was like annoying. And then I hit a log PR right afterwards. So I was like, all right, like, I mean, that's fine. I just wish people would understand like what they see is not really always reality. Like, not that I care that much, but like, you see I'm not like lifting as heavy as much. It's not because I don't care. It's just because I was like couldn't roll out of bed. So of course I'm gonna do more leg extensions than heavy deadlifts. So um and then also with like the attention to appearance and stuff like that, I mean, none of that affects. I think that's like kind of like a little bit sexist, honestly. But none of that's gonna affect your performance at all. Now, of course, if we have more focus on our looks and aren't caring about more lift, then yeah, that would take away from that. But I don't know. I feel good. I never feel like I've been stronger. I don't think it's a bad thing to focus on your appearance. And I honestly think that even the most beautiful people, the strongest people, anyone can struggle with body image, and it doesn't mean it takes away from your strength training. It just means that it might be a little voice in the back of your head that kind of gives you a little bit of confidence issues. Just because I sometimes feel too bulky in a dress doesn't mean I don't go ham on my shoulders at the gym, because I fucking love being strong and it's way cooler. But from what we see every day, it's so impossible not to have a little bit of body image issues. And if you don't have those and you don't understand, you're so fucking lucky. And that's super freeing for you. But I guarantee, like, that's not the factor that's hindering my strength at all. I would never let that happen. Maybe when I was 13 years old, that would have happened. But I'm grown now, and I really do care about getting stronger. But guess what? You got to focus on what you can do and do it. And unfortunately, for me, that kind of cut my progress. I'm kind of slowed down my progress, but like let me tell you, 2024, I think is like my peak year like ever.
I
So
love to hear
I'm like
that.
super admire Brittany for like paving the way in the sport. Like I wouldn't know about strongman without Brittany. Um, so she kind of paved the way, and now like I get to experience those cool things, and um, just keep pushing, and like never give up, and obviously never let your body image issues slow you down. But like the lip filler thing and blah blah blah, like who cares? We want to look hot. Sorry, I'm
Exactly.
like
No, and
I'm 33. I'm trying to be like a fucking hot 40-year-old. Like
yeah,
it's just how it is. So I mean, there's
no,
more, and also I just want to say there's more to life than strongman in the sport. So honestly, if anything, I care more about the impact I make on the people that are trying to get in the sport than um, my body image. Like I know this is like so stupid and service, but on TikTok, I think I have like 30 million views of me doing the Hercules hold. I have so many negative comments about me on there, but guess how many people saw a girl holding weights and then there's I want to fucking do that. Everyone in the comments like, I want to do that. I want to do that. So guess what? Like I care more about like showing people they can do it than, because only certain people are gonna be able to be the strongest woman in the world. That's how it is. I would love to get there, but it's not all about that. There's more to life than being like the best in the sport. And I'm sorry, but like if you ever get injured or something happens to you, you will realize that. And it's amazing when you realize that because honestly, you realize like, oh, it's kind of like miserable. And I thought this was just like the only thing that and life there was in life.
and I'm so excited for you that, like you said, you feel like you're going to have a peak year next year because you took the time off to rehab and get stronger after all the injuries. And you're going to be 34 in April and like you're hitting PRs. So, to that person that wrote that, thank you because Christy, it fueled her to hit a PR. And then also, I just want to say that, like, yes, I'm not at my strongest anymore. And I am not afraid to say that. Like, I am completely on the second mountain, as I like to call it. I've done my time. I know that I could never go back and get strongest woman in the world. I will compete as a master because I love it, but my job now is to help other people in the sport. And I get really excited when I have clients that are stronger than me. I have nothing to prove. My ego is gone when it comes to that. And it took a long time, but I'm proud of it. And like, I'm still strong. It's funny because when people call me strong now, like, there's a little voice in my head. It's like, well, you should have seen me then. Like I think if I front squat like 225, like my PR is 365 pounds. 225 pounds is less than half of that. So I might still be strong to the average person, but in my mind, I'm not strong. And guess what? I am
Hmm.
completely okay with that because I know that I'm kicking ass in my business and helping other people. So
Exactly. And so it's like, yeah, it's I feel like this person might have more of like identity problems
yeah.
because we're secure in our identity and that's that.
I just got a new question that came in while we were filming that I think is a really good one. And it says,
Ooh.
can you do a podcast on the emotional roller coaster that happens to women after prep ends and your period comes back? I feel like no one ever talks about this and how hard and lonely it can be to go through this. So, yes, I think that that is something next season. I would love to interview someone that has gone through the same thing I have because I know personally that was the hardest thing. Like, I literally went through menopause at 29 years old. No sex drive, hair falling out, no period for 9 months. So I would love to talk about that because I was, yeah, I was not okay.
Yeah,
But
it's
now
like
I
the
am.
ugly side of things you don't see. You see the pretty stage photos, and then when all that ends, it come down and just like you're left with some hormonal problems, some just like negative emotions, body
Yeah,
image issues, and stuff like that. So, yeah, that would be definitely something really important to talk about, I think.
absolutely. I love that question. So thank you to who asked that. What other questions did you want to answer?
Yeah, let's just do a couple more. Um, so, what is the biggest lesson you have learned this year?
You want to go first or do you want me to?
Sure, I'll go first. So the biggest lesson I learned was to trust my intuition, my choices, my knowledge, my expertise, that I know what I'm doing. I can make better. I'm the one who can make the good business decisions for myself. Just because I feel like I try to kind of delegate a little bit more and hire different like companies or something to help with like marketing or this or that. And just because I was like, I think someone could do it better. And I just realized like, no, I know my brand, I know my customers, I know my clients, and I'm capable of doing this. I just need to do it. And then also just trusting my own intuition and just I think I felt very unstable at first when I first moved because it was a new place and just being it was kind of like who am I here? Like, I have all my friends around me, all this stuff. And just kind of like again, like trusting myself and knowing who I am and making the decisions who are right for me. For a while I was kind of insecure in that way. So honestly, I feel like everything's come together. I had to make a few expensive lessons this year, but I mean, I came out of it more confident in my decision making, and like more confident in myself and like what I have to offer. The lifting community and my clients, my friends, all that stuff.
For me, I love that. I think we're similar lessons. For me, 2023, I always reflect at the end of the year to actually like literally like see my birthday and the end of the year. I like try to physically write down like what I learned. And
Hmm.
for this year, my theme word was surrendering because, and we discussed this a lot on our moving cross country episode, but I used to think that the world was going to end. I've called you crying before. It was February was a really rough month for me this past February. And, my mom was having heart surgery and I lost two sponsorships and two clients within like 3 days. And I was like, well, this is it. I'm going to have to do OnlyFans. Like I'm losing all my income. This sucks. And I just, allowed myself a few days of crying, but then also I was in this like I'm always in this hustle state. And when I'm in this hustle state, I feel like I'm accident prone. I don't sleep. I don't feel good. And I worked really hard with surrendering and I invested again because things are expensive. And I was like, should I even be spending money on this? I did something called belief coding, did a few therapy sessions, did some Reiki sessions. And I feel like I learned I'm not religious, but I trust myself so much that I surrender. It's like, okay, if five bad things happen, I know that if I keep putting good out into the world and keep taking care of my clients and keep saying yes to opportunities, then it's going to come back twofold to me. And this might sound a little like woo woo to some people listening, but I'm a huge believer in like your mind and your mindset so that I know just like when I'm not maybe in the shape I want to be or as strong as I want to be, if I work my ass off, I can get to where I want to be. So I'm gonna swear, I check my fucking mind. Okay. When my mind ain't right, I don't fucking talk to people. I even tell my clients, like, I need a day because I don't want to spread my bad vibes. This sounds crazy, but
No,
I
it
fucking
doesn't.
check myself. I spend a lot of
Yeah,
time
because
outdoors. Yeah.
yeah. No, I was gonna say,
So,
I remember at the beginning of the year or just earlier this year, we would text a lot about being unsure because we were scared about our businesses. The economy's not that great right now. We were scared, what if we lose clients? Oh, should we go back to corporate? Should we do this? What do we do? And if we're not growing and stuff like that. And I think I told you too, it's like, man, you were just kicking ass. You were like doing all these appearances, all these things you want to do. Like, it was really all about perspective too. Like, we could either focus on like the two clients you lost or about like how much you've grown. It's like no matter how much we grow, or it's kind of like getting stronger. No matter how strong you get, you're still gonna be freaking out, thinking like, "Oh, I need to get stronger." But it's like if you kind of look back to a few years ago, you're so much stronger than you were before. It's kind of the same thing with us here. So it's all about like perspective. And so once we start talking about that, I start checking myself too, and I think I'm finally at the point too where I'm honestly just practicing more gratitude, and it's making me overall happier. And I've realized when I'm happier, it just feels like more good things happen when I'm just more pleasant. So we're both kind of like figuring this out too at the same time. Like just that attitude change, you know?
also, yeah, another thing I've learned too, because I used to be, and you're like this too. You and me are both like, and I think as we've gotten more secure in our relationships, as we were talking about earlier, we've gotten more secure with like saying no and not. I always had this fear, like we're both people pleasers. We've had to be nice, and I can literally feel Like, I know myself now, like, I'm an empathetic person. I can feel when someone is dragging me down. And sometimes there's been times where it's been a client. And that is really hard because that's income, that's my job. I still want to help them. But I've had clients that like have been mean to me. And like I had one client, remember, she was like, I would never want to look like you. And I'm like, then why'd you hire me? And so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make this decision to respectfully and terminate this relationship because it is a relationship. And I'm just very careful like who I allow into my circle, which is one of the reasons why I love working for myself because I have the freedom to do that.
No, exactly. And I think that's the struggle of the people pleaser too, because we do care, we want to be liked by our clients and,
Yeah.
other people, but at the end of the day, just looking out for yourself and your own mental well-being. And that's something that I think we have both improved on this year. So that's probably a really good, unless you have any other questions, that's probably a really good last question because it's kind of leading up to 2024. But I guess we could we just say like what we have coming up in 2024 for the podcast.
Yeah, so we definitely want to do an episode on steroids, the good, the bad, the ugly. That's a question we often get. I actually didn't get any questions about steroids this time, which was a first.
Oh, I did get one. I was like, "Are you natty or not?" And would you judge someone who is is on steroids or something like that? Which is a question we can answer next season.
Yeah. So we're going to do a full episode about steroids, our history, when we decided to use. I don't anymore, but I would do. Me and Christy were just together a few weeks ago. I definitely want to do some HGH and some peptides. So we'll talk about that. Talk about like our overall opinion on it, and again, another negative side of the fitness industry. We'll interview someone for OnlyFans. We'll talk about the question we just got with the hormonal downfall post show, some of the depression that hits even for strongman like post show. And Christy and I are actually going to be together in person again, right? I'm headed to the American Pro to do interviews this week, and then her and I are going to meet up at the Olympia. So we'll be planning out some stuff. Is there any episodes that you thought about that maybe we didn't talk about yet?
No, I just know there's a like couple people we want to interview, like being what we say a female in the male dominant industry as a coach. So interviewing another female coach. But yeah, those on the top of my head, those are um, exciting ideas for next season. But we want to make sure we spend a lot of time putting those together. Since we will have guests, we need to deal with more scheduling. So yeah, we put a lot of work in this first season, ironed out the little kinks. And next season's just gonna be even better because we're going to bring people on and have a little bit deeper conversations. And I'm so excited. This has been so fun.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for everyone that's tuned in. And that's another thing I want to say, like how Christy and I kept trying to be, when we were at our worst, like even this podcast, like getting started was tough. And we would call each other out, like, nope, let's think positive because I had to get a new laptop. And if you listen to some of our first episodes, like I didn't sound good, even though I had a mic and it was kind of just an expensive, we don't even have a studio or someone helping us. And I think I had to invest like almost 2 grand. So, but I know we're putting out good information and I'm really proud of us. And I'm glad that we brought some of the issues to light. And it's actually really made me love social media again. So,
I know, me too. We were so burnt out before this
yeah.
podcast. So this has been a lot of fun. I'm actually being able to speak my mind, talk through things. It's helped me a lot. Um, just be able to even talk about my feelings a little bit more and be able to actually, reflect on things, which is important because everything just our lives go so fast and everything on social media and our businesses, and we're always traveling. Everything's so fast. So reflecting on
Mhm.
things has been awesome. So, and yeah, of course, there's a learning curve, but the fact that we've gone from nothing to this is amazing. And then we're just going to double that progress next season. And so I'm excited. I think
We'll have an intro
it's going
too
to
when we
be
are just,
so many interesting topics. So we're just getting
yes,
started, guys.
I can't wait. So thank you guys. And as always, please share our episodes. Again, I feel very confident in saying I know some of the episodes can really help people. So Please share them. We appreciate it. And we will talk to you guys next season.
See you next season.